So we're going to be shooting everything in portrait mode on our iPhone. Today's all about portraiture photography. So getting them decent headshots, getting them decent shots of your kids playing around or however the scenario may be. But really focusing in the portrait mode, working on depth of field, working on leading lines, and most importantly, composition. So here we are at our favourite shooting location, and there's tons going on over here. It's a little bit like a New Yorkie sort of scene, so we love it. We do tons of content over here, and there's a lot of good features. Leading lines with the balustrades, buildings, they're very symmetrical, so it gives off a really, really good look. There's a lot of depth here as well, and there's a lot of shadow, and there's a lot of direct sunlight as well, which sometimes can work in your favour and sometimes not, but we'll go through a little bit of that later. So we've positioned ourselves at the moment with Heady here against the railings, and what we're going to do is we're just going to do a couple of shots here just to show you the difference between a flat on photo and then turning it into portrait mode and actually using the leading lines here to draw your eye to the subject. So let's just open up the camera app into portrait and I'll show you what I mean. Now, first thing we're going to do is clean the lens. There we go. Clean it on whatever, but that is so important to get sharp photos, is to clean the lens. Okay, so we've opened up portrait mode and we're in ×1 lens. Now, depending on what iPhone you've got, from 14 upwards, you'll have a few different options in portrait mode of what lenses you can use. There's ×1, ×2 and ×3. It basically means you can get closer. Now, don't worry, if you don't have this option, you can actually physically move yourself closer and you still get the same desired effect. Okay, so let's just start here with Heady. So we're in the ×1 lens here. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but all the leading lines are drawing you towards Heady. Just let that car go past there. All the leading lines are drawing you towards Heady. So we're going to take a quick shot of this one. There we go. And we'll just open it up and have a look. I think that's a fantastic looking photo for a headshot. But there's not a lot of depth in it. You can see a lot of the background and that as well. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to move over slightly. I'm going to change to ×2 lens. Straight away, can you see Heady's in the middle of the buildings, where the railings go, where the pathway go and everything. This is what I'm talking about with leading lines. It's drawing you to the middle of the photo, which is where our subject is. Now, to make the rule of thirds come into play, all I need to do is move over slightly, move this over slightly. Now we're banging the rule of thirds. Now that is a good headshot. So let's take that photo there. Open that up. Lovely photo. Now, for the last one, we're going to turn to our ×3 lens, and I'm actually going to flip the phone upside down, and I'm going to rest it on the railing. And what that does, that just creates quite a lot of depth to the photo in the foreground against the background. So let's just take a photo there. There you can see the railing leading towards Heady. So that's just a little bit about leading lines and how much that can help you in your portraiture photography. We're just going to move over to somewhere else now, and I'm going to show you a little bit more about depth into photos and your background and foreground. Okay, we're going to talk about composition a lot in all photography that we do. Composition is so important. Composition basically means placing a subject in a certain part of your picture for your eye to be drawn to it. So luckily the iPhone gives us the grid, which we've already learned in our first module of turning that grid on and how important it is to be using it. This gives us help and guidance to our rule of thirds. Now, wherever this grid crosses over, this is always your point of interest. So this is where you want to be placing the subject. Especially in portraiture photography, it's so important to not have everything slap bang in the middle, depending on symmetry. You know, like if you're if you're in between two brick pillars, that would be symmetry, maybe place the subjects in the middle. But 9 times out of 10, you want to be working on this rule of third. Now here what we're doing is we're actually using more of a lifestyle scenario for our portraiture photography. Now lifestyle means just getting it out of the studio, just doing what the subject would be doing best. So say if Hetty's job would be, I don't know, some sort of fashion stylist, you would not put her on a white background because that doesn't really emulate what she does for a job. So lifestyle really means what you're doing. So Hetty's actually a really incredible food photographer. So ideally, to do headshots for Hetty, it would be more in the kitchen of styling food or working in her environment. But for this purpose, we'll say she's a fashion stylist and we're here out and about, you know, to make it look absolutely incredible. So I'm just gonna put my phone in portrait mode. First thing, because it's been in my pocket, is I'm just gonna clean the lenses again. So important to clean the lenses. And there we go, lens all nice and clean. So where I've placed her is super important. And I've done that for a reason, because there's nothing behind us. There's so much empty space, creates a lot of depth. I'll show you after this with some textured stuff that's next to me here, of the difference it makes of having someone flat on a wall to having someone with nothing behind them to create that depth. Background and foreground. Again, this is something that we've already learned, but now we're putting it into practice to show how important it is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be in ×2 lens in portrait mode on the phone, and we'll just flip round and we'll just show what we're going to do with Hetty. So how she's sitting at the moment, I'm just going to ask you just to sit back just normally. How she's sitting at the moment, that's great, that's quite nice. So there's some leading lines going on there, as you can see with the brick wall and the railings. Actually the point of the railing is above her head, so it's actually quite a nice photo. So let's just flip a photo of that one. Take a quick look, actually really, really nice. Now I'm just going to ask Hetty just to lean forward slightly. Keep going a little bit more. And I'm actually going to come down level with where she is here. Look at how much of a difference of a photo that is. Just put your head down a little bit, Hetty, for me. Look how much of a difference that is in the background. So different. So let's take a quick shot there. So literally just moving Hetty ever so slightly and just moving myself round, you create more depth to the photo. That's super, super important. So we're super lucky with where we are here. To be perfectly honest, she's moved like 3 foot just to give us a different background. There's literally different bits and pieces everywhere here. I'm sure wherever you're shooting, you'll have exactly the same scenario, because to be honest, there's plenty of places that you can find to shoot. So what we're going to do is we're going to be in our portrait mode, and it doesn't matter that we're in our portrait mode, you won't get any depth, but what it does do is it does give the skin a nice tone, and it gives everything else just a really nice feel to the picture. Okay, so we open up our camera app into portrait. Here she is straight away. Okay, so it always tells you what to do. With the little yellow light that comes up there, it says studio light, so that means we're ready to go. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to change to contour light on this occasion, just because I feel it gives a little bit of a better colour to the background and also the skin tone. Now also up here we've got the F number. I actually want to change that F number down as low as I can. You remember we did this before in the other one? So we're going to be shooting at 1.6. Okay, now we tap off of that, tap onto Hetty. I'm actually going to drop the exposure down a little bit and take our photo. Now remember, when I show you these photos, they're completely unedited, so we're going to be editing them afterwards. Now if we just go into 2x lens and we can get a little bit closer here. Now this is where I'll be talking about composition more than anything. Can you see where the grid crosses here? There's the point of interest right in the middle, and it's slap bang on her nose. That's exactly where you want your point of interest to be. That is bang on your rule of third. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the exposure up slightly here. Tap back onto Hedy. Take a photo. And then let's just look at that. What a lovely, lovely looking photo. Now to carry on with this whole depth of field scenario, using exactly the same wall, we're going to take another photo. I'm just going to ask Hedy just literally just to turn around. Okay, so if you can just turn around and face me. And just turn your eyes over this way for me slightly. That's it. Now look. Straight away. See how much this has changed the dynamics of the photos. Let's just turn this f-stop up a little bit because it's a bit too deep. Chin down a little bit. Look over here for me. That's it. See where the point of interest is? Take the photo. Again, another nice portrait photo. These are all super easy tips. This is all stuff that you can do easily from your iPhone. And we're just going to jazz them up in the edit a bit later. So by just using one background, you can see that we've created 3 different fantastic portrait photos just by using this. So either facing the camera or just turning around and creating all that depth. Or really using the rule of thirds in the composition. You know, anywhere that you go, brick walls, fences, benches, anything, you can create that depth, or you can create anything to do with composition and rule of thirds. Now what we're going to do in this one is just create a little bit of movement in a photo. We're just going to nip to another location quickly, all on the same estate, so we're not going very far, and I'll show you exactly what I mean by putting a little bit of movement into photos. So come on. So we just moved over to somewhere just a little bit different, just to really try and add a bit of movement to make it a lot more lifestyle. Posy shots are amazing, but you want to inject a little bit of personality into it, a little bit of movement. So we just moved over to here really, because there's beautiful, beautiful buildings behind us, very New Yorky, looks very cool. It is quite busy around here, I must say, but obviously we just have to move in between the cars and the people. But what we can do here is really create like simple lifestyle shots, just putting some movement in. And when I say movement, I actually mean I'm going to get Hedy walking. And while she's walking, we're going to be taking some photos and, you know, sort of pick the best one out of it and then edit it to make it look, bosh, absolutely amazing. So we're going to open up our camera in portrait mode. First thing we're going to do, clean the lens. Well done everybody, because it's been in our pocket because we've moved somewhere else. Probably put my fingers on it or whatever. So clean the lens always, gives you sharp, sharp photos. Get into the habit of doing it. Okay, now we're going to do, just going to direct Hedy a little bit now. Okay Hedy, what I'd like you to do, if you don't mind, is where you are there, just walk very slowly towards me, yeah? But when I direct you to do it, and when I say slowly, I mean actually still try and walk, but just do it nice in a slow fashion, yeah? So wait 1 second. Now, I'm on the ×1 lens of portrait. I've set my exposure and I've set the f-stop already. That's something down to you, that's personal preference. You'll get your depth, whatever, and you can actually change this when we edit as well. Now for this, I'm actually going to turn my phone upside down so that I can get the lenses closer to the floor. And it will give a really nice dynamic shot with the buildings in the background and everything. Just looks a lot better. Because the lenses are at the top of the phone, it's better to flip it round and try and get them down there. So this works for a lot of product photography as well, using the lenses down the bottom. Now, when I say ready, I'm going to have to get down on the floor here. When I say ready to go, Hedy, just go for me. Okay, I'm just going to tap on the screen where she is, up there. Let's take a quick one now. All right Hedy, start walking towards me please. Just tap where she is, it'll pick her up. So every time she takes a step, try and take a photo. Keep going, keep going. I'm just tipping the phone back as we're doing it. Super stuff. Okay. Oh, let's get up off the floor. Let's get up off the floor. You'll start to learn as a photographer that you roll around the floor a fair bit. So there's just a few shots that we've took there. That looks absolutely stunning already. So that's adding a little bit of movement to your lifestyle photos. It creates a bit more of an energy to your photos. Looks way better, in my opinion. And it's quite easy to do. As you can see, you do have to put yourself in a bit of a funny situation. You do have to lay on the floor to get the desired effect, but it's well worth it. And what this will do is for social media aspects, it will actually make you look so different to what everybody else is doing, because you're putting a bit more effort into it, of laying on the ground, and actually learning as well really how to use that portrait mode properly in different scenarios.